And if you're looking for real old school laughs, you're in for a treat because we've got them right here. Flip City Magazine. Remember Mad Magazine? Then it went woke? Well, don't worry. Flip City has no chance of going woke. That's right. 4 times a year, you'll get an actual printed magazine full of jokes, stories, comics, and more, all about today's pop culture, entertainment, and woke politics. Flip City takes terrible entertainment trends we love to hate with hilarious parodies of Lord of the Rings, Stranger Things, The Walking Dead, Star Trek, Hunters, and more. Trust me when I say there is nothing else like Flip City on the market. So subscribe today. It will be delivered in print, or you can even get it digitally if you're one of those wacky Zoomers. Either way, follow our link and sign up today, and if you put in midnight, you get an extra 10% off. Check out Flip City Magazine today. Good morning, campers. Welcome to the program. It is... Oh, we're on the road with Paul. Let me edit your mic setting there. We're getting some major echo. Okay. I don't know if this is going to work or not, but hello. Good morning, everybody out there. I'm going to mute Paul for just a moment here because it's really loud. Hello, good morning, and welcome to Midnight's Edge in the Morning. I'm Tom. We got the boss man here, Andre. How you doing?
I'm doing excellent, and I'm glad to see that Paul is not the one driving. That makes me feel much more comfortable having him on stream.
Well, we'll talk to him in just a moment here. We also got Archcast with us this morning. Welcome back to the program.
Hello, and thank you for having me again.
Absolutely, glad to have you.
Yes, glad to have you. And also we have Paul on the road. Welcome, Paul.
Hi. If this is too loud, I can sign out here. But yes, we're in North Carolina. We're just a couple of hours away from Mexican Iron Man.
Give us a shot of the beautiful country there. Let's see what it's... There we go. Look at that. That's beautiful country. It's road for miles.
We're turning off to get gas, but yes, I don't have to stay on here long. I just wanted to pop in and say hello to everybody and tell everyone I'm still alive.
Yeah, we're glad you could join us for a little bit. It's not so bad now. We're not getting the echoes so much. But,
yeah, there's our van.
Ooh, nice.
Very nice. Very nice indeed. That's an American RV right there.
It is. It's a good. That's just made in Canada.
Yeah, well. So
was I. Yes, Ellis said he was made in Canada. Big whoop.
Yeah, well, it's still North America, so we'll go with that.
He's almost funnier than his old man.
He is much funnier than me.
Both our lives are jokes.
But good morning, everybody out there. We were just discussing the latest events over the past few days. Some changes over at Marvel. In fact, we got a new trailer this morning we're going to talk about. The Hulkster went wild last night at the RNC. We're going to talk about that probably a little bit later on the Rumble side of things. We got some other trailers to discuss. Some Assassin's Creed business.
Put gas in.
You want to stop streaming or?
No, just keep on going.
Okay.
But we're going to say hello to you guys in the chat real quick. We got some super chats here. Got Hyper Guyver 2 sending one in earlier this morning, sending in $5. Says, I think it's hilarious that Thomas Lockley has completely locked down his social media and is hiding because of his desire to push Yasuki.
Yeah, well, Yasuke, as it is pronounced. Yes, all that thought, because we are going to get into that with Arch later on here. We have a few more things to discuss first, but we will be talking Assassin's Creed and the rewriting of history that is Yasuke, which is pretty extensive right now, and Thomas Lockley is a big part of it. and he seems to be getting his reward from the community for it. So yeah, we will be getting into that.
Yes, indeed. And we got a lot of little things to get into in between all the other bigger things. We got Ruby Hoove, who sent us in a gifted membership. Thank you so much for that, Ruby Hoove. And Ruby has been a member for a month. Thank you for that. We got King of Hearts, who sends in $4.99 and says, Hail panel in chat. Halo canceled after 2 seasons. Best episode was the last one. What IP will Hollywood ruin next by changing boy brands to girls? Good question. But yeah, this is part of the news this morning, Andre. Halo Season 2 canceled afterwards, or however you want to put it.
Yes,
done.
indeed. This was another series that decided to go quite progressive in its adaptation, making it quite female-centric as well. But I never saw it, and full disclosure, I have never played the games. But Arch, I can only imagine that you must be much more familiar with Halo than me. What did you think of the Halo TV series? And are you saddened to see it go after only 2 seasons?
Thrilled to see it go, actually. The Halo TV show, or Pablo Schreiber's Schnauzer's Adventures, was a terrible mistake from the very beginning, and I called it before the first episode even aired that episode 1, he is taking off his helmet. And there we go. He did.
Yeah, I know that was a big point of contention with the audience, was that. Yeah.
It fundamentally misunderstood the character, and it turned it into like a soap opera series, practically.
Yeah.
When really it probably should have learned more from Dread, in that the helmet stays on, at least while the character is on camera. That would have been a start. But I think that
should have just hired Carl Urban for it,
right?
Yeah, he would have
kind of like Smokey and the Bandit. The Bandit only takes his hat off for one thing.
And I'm still annoyed that we haven't gotten a Dread 2 or 3 or 4. Imagine how many Dread movies we could have gotten for the budget of the Acolyte.
Sex. The answer is sex, for those who are wondering.
Yeah. So, yeah. Halo is no more, the series that is, and it will not be missed. As for what they will ruin next, that they haven't ruined
Lord knows.
already. Well, how about Warhammer? How is that going on?
How's Warhammer shaping up?
Yet? Because if it's still alive, I'm pretty sure we can put that into the next to be ruined by women column.
As far as we know, it's still going ahead, but there is just no word coming out of it at all. There's no promotional, there's no interviews, there's no nothing yet. They're probably still picking the team together, one would assume.
The rumor I was hearing is that everything had come to kind of a dead halt. I don't know.
Yeah, they are still doing the what do you call it? The preparation of the manuscript. So they had a deadline for a couple of weeks ago to see what they could come up with. I haven't heard if that was met or extended. Because that was just like, okay, if you don't have it by this, we're going to have to do another little thing to see if we're going to continue to go ahead with it, etc. Because I think that rumor pretty much came from my Amazon insider from that. And there's been no negative news, so it's difficult to say. I would also point out,
no news is not good news usually either. Sorry.
Yeah, because I would also point out there was another Warhammer TV show, The Inquisitor, which was supposed to be going ahead, and we haven't heard a peep about that for like 3 years now. So, yeah. And
we know Henry's going to shoot Highlander. What is it? The end of the year here or the beginning of next year? I can't remember which. But it's real soon here. It's finally going forward.
Haven't they shot that several times already?
No, they were doing some scouting up in your neck of the woods, I think, not too long ago or something like that. There was some other scouting going on. They'd had that rewrite, but also in between the announcement of it happening, they did John Wick 4 and also announced that the what's-his-face was going to be taking on Highlander and John Wick going forward as basically the creative leader, whatever you want to call it. What the hell's his name? The director of the John Wick series.
Yeah, I forgot his name right now. But
I know I'm drawing a complete blank, and I'm like, I know who he is, but yeah,
it's not Helsky or something.
It's somebody in the audience. I think you're right. Somebody in the audience will get it. Yeah,
So yeah, it's probably not dead. It's too soon to tell, but Games Workshop does have a long and proud history of bricking projects, so...
Yeah. Well, then I think we can probably safely say that if Warhammer goes ahead, to go back to the initial super chat, that will be the next thing to be ruined by making it female-centric. Because there's no
Female
way
custodies.
Jennifer Salke is going to leave that thing alone. And then, of course, you have the problem of the production company. So yeah, fun stuff with that.
Oh, we lost Paul.
Yeah, but Paul had to go. He was on the road, but and we are glad to see that he's still with us and on his way to Casa Mexican Iron Man, where he's going to have an amazing time, and I'm really jealous because that's an amazing experience. Yeah,
I haven't even been there yet, so.
Yeah, Mike gets a 10 out of 10 stars on the Yelp.
So yeah, Highlander starts early 2025 according to Chad Stahelski. So there you go. In January in Scotland. Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So there's that. So yeah, it'll be at least a bit before Henry gets to do anything. Warhammer involved.
Well, if they want to, they can still make it work, because that shoot is just going to be like 2-3 months, and then he would be free for something else. I mean, if we haven't heard like any scripting updates, they're not starting any kind of production at least until that time. So I don't think that Highlander necessarily is an issue anyway for that. I think that other behind the scenes issues is far bigger problems than the availability of the lead star there. But yeah, let's move on here. We have these stories to cover today. So
we got Dr. Longdongler sending us in a £1.99 with a thumbs up sticker to remind all of you out there to hit that thumbs up. Dr. Longdongler also has been here for 32 months. Holy crap, Oli. Thank you for the support. Thunderstorm is here and says the Acolyte felt like an attempted PBS murder mystery. They needed 10 minutes longer an episode with more context. Yeah, so Arch, we haven't had the chance to kind of pick your brain on the Acolyte. If you want to give us your feelings on the entire thing now that it's all done and over with.
The Acolyte as a television show can be simply described in one word: awful. But I think it's more interesting to talk about the surrounding stuff around it, because I think The Acolyte was Disney's last all-in attempt to just push everything woke they could in it. So they were told by the HR lady, like, okay, there's totally a very progressive audience out there. There are way more of them than those silly right-wing chuds. We just gotta go all in, and you'll totally see a massive return. And they've only been partially doing that, slowly but surely, where they put in a little bit here, a little bit there. The Acolyte was all in on the table, and there was still no reward. They were comparing their viewership to X-Men 97 when it first came out, and there's no sign that it's been a particularly large success. In fact, I think the YouTube commentators have had more financial success out of The Acolyte than Disney has.
Actually, let me just bring up there, because this is something that WDW Pro reported just like in the last couple of hours, that the early viewership estimates comparing the finale of the Acolyte with the finale of season 2 of The Mandalorian is a decline of an incredible 95%. And that's not the total viewership for everyone that went back to see all of Mando after they realized the ending cameo in it. No, that's just like the first 2 days or something. And still, 95% decline since that height. So not a 95% decline since, for instance, Ahsoka, but 95% decline since the height of The Mandalorian. So only 5% of the audience remains. How's that for success?
I'm back. Sorry, my neighbor came by to give me waffles, which is normal in Norway.
I wish my neighbor would do that.
Well, move to Norway.
Right? I like waffles.
And you've never even tried Norwegian waffles.
Shit, no. I'll probably be so fat. But yeah, in comparison to something like Cobra Kai, which dropped yesterday and is already number in the top 10 streaming shows of Netflix, I'm sure it'll do quite well.
Yeah, the only way that the Acolyte is ever going to be number one on one lists is a list of Disney Plus series dropped in the month of June of 2024. That's the only way it's ever going to be number one, by really being a quite selective list. But yeah, no, this thing is an absolute disaster. And I'm curious because what I really liked about this is that here they went all in. Here you have the lesbian space witches with all of their silly little mantras, the power of one and two and the many, and every single character on screen is filled with soy. All the men are weaklings and betas. All the women are lesbian, and they couldn't be any more subversive, progressive if they had tried. I mean, the only thing that was missing was like a full-on like lesbian sex scene or something. That's the only thing that was missing here. Now that
I
they've
think
tried,
the culmination has got to be the Wookiee Jedi. Do you remember when they were doing advertisement for this? They brought him out on stage and they were like, hey, we finally got to get a Wookiee Jedi. This is what the fans have always been asking for. And they killed his ass off screen.
yeah. And
I don't
he
remember
was
asking for
worse than
such things.
useless. I mean, where the Jedi is concerned, I mean, he was obviously a Jedi diversity hire among many because he didn't do anything other than getting brainwashed and then go and retreat afterwards. That's literally all he did.
Yeah,
I mean, talk
like it
about
is the
useless
height of
character.
subversion.
Yeah. And of course, this was written by the person who described Star Wars as, well, basically Harrison Ford traveling in a spaceship with his dog. This is the insight that went into it. So yeah. No, it's really quite unbelievable, and it's just shocking how bad it was. And what I find even more shocking is that Leslie Headland actually thought that this was good and that this was better than Russian Doll, which I have not seen, but I keep hearing it's good. Certainly leagues and bounds better than this. And she doesn't seem to think that. And Kathleen Kennedy also seems to be very proud of this series, which speaks volumes about her. So, what do you think this means for Star Wars going forward, Arch? I mean, at this point, can they even do anything else? Can they release any movies or anything like that when it flops this badly? When this just only goes to show that there's zero interest? Do they risk making more? Do they renew Kathleen Kennedy again and just carry on as if nothing happened? Bring about season 2, thinking that fans are going to come back for more Yoda and Plagueis? What say you?
God, Yoda, I loved that last scene because they'd just stolen Plagueis, right? She had just gone like, oh, you know Darth Plagueis? Yeah. And yeah, I invented him. He's based of my lesbian space witches. It's like, and then Yoda at the end of the episode. Like, I took that as a threat. That's how I view that.
Wasn't there like
Leslie
100
Headland just with a gun to Yoda's head?
Wasn't there supposed to be like 1,000 years of peace or something like that? I'm trying to remember the line.
Supposedly, yeah.
Yeah,
I
like
don't know
all
what
this
happened to
bullshit
that.
yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand this shit anymore.
But I don't think they're going to make a second season out of this. It's been too big of a failure. I think Kathleen Kennedy will stick around because she has some very compromising pictures somewhere. It's the only explanation at this point. But I think this will presage a move towards more conservative Star Wars. It's going to take 5-6 years before we see any evidence of that because, I mean, they're going to need to write
You
it.
think so?
Screw that. They're going to need to find the guy who can write it first.
I disagree with you. I think as long as Kathleen Kennedy is in the house, that nothing will change. And even then, I'm pretty sure her successor will be just as bad because there'll be somebody she picked. And that's the thing, is she doesn't have to have pictures on anybody. I've told everybody this before. First of all, she's Kathleen Kennedy. She's single-handedly the most successful producer of all time. And that's in the Guinness Book of World Records. Not for women,
not by
just
merit.
in general.
Yeah. And not by merit, because she latched
Yeah.
on to
Yeah.
Steven Spielberg. That's
You'd
why.
think some residual talent would have rubbed off on her, but no, that didn't. And we don't know what her deal is as far as her contract, because it seems like it must be pretty ironclad. Because I agree, like at this point, you think Bob Iger would have shifted her, maybe not fired her, but shifted her out of power by now. And he hasn't been able to. And that's what we keep hearing as far as rumor wise, is like Lucasfilm is like it's its own island, right? It's its own little Epstein Island over there, you know, doing its own thing, and nobody can touch it. And the only control that we keep hearing, and this is not from just one source, this has been from multiple sources now, that basically the only control that Disney and Bob has over Kathy is if she wants to make a movie, which explains why we've got nothing but Disney Plus series for the last, 6 years now?
2019. So
19,
5
yeah.
years. 5 years.
5 years.
But yeah, that would explain it, because Bob Iger has made it clear that where movies are concerned, the buck stops with him, and he has, if anything even got to the point where he had to green light it, he would have pulled the plug. But the thing is that everything, as far as we can tell, has fallen apart way before it came to that level, as every single
Except
thing
for
that
Mando.
Kathleen Kennedy has. But that's not a true, but that's a season being reformatted into a movie.
And make no mistake, it was Bob Iger who got Jon Favreau involved with Star Wars. We have more than enough evidence of that at this point.
Yeah. Which was the right direction, but Kathleen Kennedy found a way to screw up that too.
Well, that was one of Chapek's few follies, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one thing we can truly bust him for. That was his mistake.
But other than that, I'm sure you're glad the show's done. And I agree with you. I don't think we'll get a second season unless they do it out of spite, like Batgirl or whatever it was. Batwoman.
Just to ruin Yoda. Like one more season, just to hurt that little green bastard.
Secrets we must keep.
And that's why I'm actually not going to rule out the second season, because by any kind of conventional metric, this series is toast, and you cannot justify a second season. But this is Disney. This is Bob Iger's Disney, and a department or division ran by Kathleen Kennedy. All of that conventional business logic, that goes out the window here. If there is any way that a sequel can be made, if there's some way to find the money for it, Kathleen Kennedy is going to do it, unless she is ousted by the company or something like that. I think we're getting a season 2, just sheerly out of spite, because we have had so many woke productions and train wrecks that won't go away, because there was some kind of agreement there, which meant they just had to keep on making the buggered things. Case in point, Star Trek Discovery. It was greenlit as with a 5-season commitment, and that's what it got. Same thing with Amazon's The Rings of Power. By any conventional metric, it should have been cancelled after season 1, but it can't be cancelled because it was already a 5-season
contractual obligation.
They can cancel it, but they still have to pay for all the 5 seasons, because that's the commitment they made. Pay for 5 seasons, and actually making them as an optional extra. I would not be surprised if there is something like that going on with the Acolyte, because I have seen this play out too many times. And we know that this thing is so important for Kathleen Kennedy. I do not believe that she is going to leave Disney until I've read that she's gone now, and until she is, I'm not going to rule out Acolyte season 2. I'll keep burning this thing to the ground and then rape the corpse afterwards.
I mean, hey, on the bright side, if Disney wants to burn another $180 million, who am I to stop them?
Oh, it's their money. It's not taxpayer money.
That's
Well,
18 Godzilla minus ones.
it's shareholder money. So shareholders, I mean, if you're still a shareholder in Disney, I mean, that's your money they're burning. So,
yeah, and then we got Jason Webster, who sends in an Australian $5 dues. Says episode 8 of The Acolyte is such audio-visual diarrhea, you will have to disinfect your television afterwards. Well, yeah,
it's going to be infected.
It'll give your television dysentery.
It's gonna give you red dye.
Yes, here we go. Hypergyber 2. For over 1,000 generations, the Jedi Knights were the guardians of peace in Old Republic. For the dark times. For the Empire.
Except for that one moment with the not at all Sith and,
Except for
his
there was
acolytes.
that one time Yoda told me about. Well, there was the lesbian space witches.
And there was that time when I fought Darth Vader in between him turning.
Well, no, that was when he would have faced him. He goes, "We meet again." For the first time since the last time, in between the last time. Like.
I imagine this would be a tale Yoda would have told Luke as well, just telling tales about his old master. And then there was the lesbian space witches. What, master? Lesbian space witches. It was ridiculous, Luke.
Virgins in the Force they caused. Twins. Like my father? Sort of.
Just better.
Yeah, because they were women.
Yeah.
And butt babies.
And butt babies. Thunderstorm sends in 499 says, 50 lesbians about to die and not a single kiss or emotional context in the whole show. Well, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? Like, it almost makes you wonder if there was more shit in the show that got cut around. See, and that's when I'm watching stuff now, and I've been going like, okay, did they cut something out there? Did they cut around something there? Because it almost feels like 9 times out of 10 we're leading up towards something, and then they won't go to that extent. Kind of like people were saying with the whole Ghostbusters thing and the lesbian ghosts, right? I've been noticing that a lot more with other things where it feels like, okay, they chopped something out there. You know what I mean? Like, what was the other more recent one where we felt like the Inside Out 2? Because the trailers led us to believe that there was probably going to be some lesbian crushing going on and some other things, and it didn't end up being in the movie. So I don't know if they're starting to try and reconfigure some of these things. I mean, even the Marvels, they supposedly chopped down a lot of the worst shit out of it. I mean, of course, what we got wasn't much to speak of, but I mean, yeah, just makes me wonder how much of the show wound up on the cutting room floor, maybe.
I think they are, because they do know by now that what they're making is not successful. So it goes through some processes to try and make it worse. But if you're dealing with a rotten apple, tossing one out of the barrel isn't necessarily going to help much.
Oh, D-Bud Martin says, chop something out or chop something off? Yeah, well, if you want to stay on that planet. And then on the Acolyte business, John Eben Bear says with 5 Canadian-y, what I have learned from watching the reviews of the Acolyte is that space lesbian witches can only count up to 2.
1, 2, and many. Yeah, this is true. Yeah.
You got 2 and then you got a lot. So yeah, so let's break into some other business right now. We've got this other news that come across yesterday that was kind of interesting. Although it's not a thing yet exactly, right, Andre? But what's going on here is Zaslav and team are looking at splitting up Warner Brothers Discovery into 2 separate entities. Doesn't that sound familiar?
It does. We have seen this a few times before over the years here. And the first thing that should come to mind is way back when Sumner Redstone did this to Paramount, which created no end of problems later on that Paramount are struggling with to this day when they tried to break them or put the company together. But that's only first glance, because there's more to this. Like, what exactly is it that is trying to split up here, Tom?
Okay, so what we're looking at is a split up of what I would assume would be the combined assets of Discovery and Warner Brothers now. They're going to split up the movie and streaming side of things and the television side of things. Okay. So basically the two separation, it'll be a lot like Paramount in that respect. And some people are speculating on why they could be doing this. There's a lot of reasons why they could be doing this, or at least a few. But you and I had kind of discussed it a little bit, but I'm more curious what you think is going on here, Andre, because this is kind of your business background. I wish Mikey was here this morning to help us with this, but yeah, so it looks like all the cable networks and such will be part of one whole package. So I'm assuming that means like everything from the Warner's Brothers side of things to the Discovery side of things will now be one separate company on their own. Then the movie and HBO Max division will all be their own company. So CNN, Cartoon Network, all that business will be under one roof, and then all the movie studio stuff will be under completely different roof.
Yeah, and this we have seen before, and we don't know exactly what they're doing yet. They haven't. Mike will be here. Perfect. But meanwhile, I can say what I think it looks like to me. It doesn't look like they're trying to create synergies. Instead, it looks like two things is what it looks like to me. One is that they're trying to split up the divisions so that they're able to remove redundant positions. They're able to remove the quote unquote synergy positions, the ones where you have like one person that does things in multiple departments. When you split it up, you can see, oh, now we suddenly see who is no longer needed here. And that way they can make some savings. But also, this is a way where you can separate the parts of the company that are really working and that are making money from the ones which actually bring down the share price, because they are the ones that are the least profitable. Like, for instance, the streaming division. And then you can focus in on the streaming division and you can see what can be done.
Well, the funny thing is they're splitting up the streaming division in with the movie division, which I would think would be their more profitable division. Because of all the studios right now, they're the ones who have had like at least consistent hits in the last year or so.
Yeah, and to me that's bad news for the streaming division, because the movie division, that's what you need to make money, and all of that is going to be monetized elsewhere. This is a place where there's going to be another bloodbath within that streaming division.
Well, and the other part is their $39 billion that they have that they're worried about. I wouldn't call it, I don't know if I'd call it debt. What did they call it? So I think it's just operating costs that they have to come up with. And that's all going under the movie division under this. So they're going to soak up the debt in the movie side of things. Does that make sense to you as far as like they'll be able to pay it back sooner that way? Or do you think because here's my question about this is like, why would you split all this up now unless there's a good reason for it? Unless you're going to make some maneuvers or moves, whether it's selling some assets off, which they have discussed, or acquiring other assets, but you have to separate yourself to be able to do this. Like, say, CBS, for instance.
It absolutely can be something like that, because we don't have the full picture.
Right.
We can guess, but we don't have enough information to go on to make any more informed analysis. Maybe Mike has, if he has seen more details of this before. But the way that but what I'm seeing here is that this is a good way to highlight positions that can be fired. And to
I agree with you on the redundancy thing, because that's one thing Warner Brothers has had a problem for a while. Yeah. Not just so much the redundancy, but like nobody knows what anybody's doing over there. And I'm sure you've heard me tell that story many a time.
Absolutely. And this is a good way to find out the people who don't know what they're doing and separate them from everything else, while also highlighting the parts that really work and remove the albatrosses from the company so that those things can flourish, increase the share price for all involved. So I think there's something to that. But before we move on, Mike is here. So what's going on here?
Real quick, what could you just repeat what you thought your theory was? Because I was trying to log in and I didn't hear that one comment you made. Just repeat that real quick.
Well, yeah, sure. I think there's a couple of things going on here. First and foremost, it's about creating ease for redundancies. By doing this kind of reorganization, it's easier to see which positions you don't need here, so that it will facilitate redundancies. Also, in terms of share price, you are able to separate the part of the business that doesn't work from the ones that does, so that they no longer are an albatross on the most profitable part of the company, not bringing down the share price there, making it easier to do something operationally
Yeah.
with the things that are losing you money. Also, as Tom was suggesting, this makes it easier to either sell off part of the business or acquire something else.
I think all three of these things that you said are correct, but the only parts that I'll miss to that are two aspects that I will add to the discussion. I don't want to take away from your three rationales because I think all of that is part of it, but I just want to add a couple things. One is that we are clearly in the post Armageddon of the streaming wars. The streaming wars are over, right? We know who's won, we know who's lost, we know who's winning, we know who's hanging on for dear life, right? Because they're losing, right? So the thing is that this is also a hedge against what's largely been, I mean, this whole thing with the HBO, the Max, and all, it's a failure. However you want to slice it and dice it, it's kind of been a failure. Now, there's a lot of people that swear by their Discovery programming, but whether or not they swear by their Discovery shows that they love to watch, or whether or not this rebranding has worked and a couple of times they repatched it, because let's not forget this thing, the streaming side of things for this company has been redone twice. There's been 3 iterations of this damn thing, and I know because I bought them all. And so part of it is like they want to see if that thing can actually legitimately soar on the end, because I think the backdrop against all the streaming wars, you have companies like Netflix and Amazon that are just put stuff out there like a distribution medium, and then you have all these other morons like Disney and the other retards that are just trying to, like, thinking that they're going to like become like Netflix and Amazon by offering their own proprietary crap. So going back to your albatross comment, Andre, this certainly allows them to at least be able to be in the market and see, hey, look, do our properties, are they able to fly on their own? Which I don't believe that they will, because I think people in general are getting stuck go streaming. But the other aspect, so that's one. The other aspect that I'm going to add to the convo has to do with splits in general. Wall Street likes splits. They love splits. They love the speculative nature of splits, and they love stock splits, and they like company splits. Because you want to be able to say in this case scenario, like, okay, look, the stodgy non-growth part of the business is going to continue on issuing on its regular dividends and its earnings and dealing with its debt. And then over here, the sexy hot thing you guys like is going to be allowed to soar and fly, and you can invest in both. And the reality of this situation is that if their movies had done better, if they hadn't fucked up the branding of their HBO Max and Discovery, if they hadn't fucked up their balance sheet, if they hadn't screwed up their movies releases, and God Almighty, I can't believe I'm saying the name Snyder, but if they hadn't screwed up all their movie releases, if they haven't screwed up all the way that they position their brand name with streaming, and they weren't so damn ass laden down with debt from all these morons that have been in and out of this company doing projects that have sucked this company's cash full of dry, leaving nothing but debt behind, they wouldn't even be entertaining this crap. Because it's largely a gimmick. It really is largely a financial gimmick. And as Tom aptly observed, if this gimmick works, they might be able to pay down some of this debt. What this tells me is that all of the fixes that Zaslav wanted to get done, that he could get done, that he got a lot of coverage on doing, and how he was slicing and dicing that first year. Notice we really haven't heard a lot about that lately. And I think that as an observer, that I think the problem is that they've now realized, holy shit, we've thrown everybody and everything overboard that we can to make this boat lighter, and we are still sinking, and we got a long way to go to get to the shore. What other ideas do we got? And that's what's happening here.
Well, yeah, because the thing is the media, everybody has been breathing down Zaslav's, his collar or whatever you want to call it. Like,
breathing down his neck.
Breathing down his neck. He's been under a microscope. Everything he's done has been wrong. And I don't even think everything he's done has been a good idea. In fact, I'll agree with you. Like the HBO Max snafu was so stupid because you brought this guy in for that reason. And I set that up way long time ago without even realizing it. And to reiterate the story real quick, because I would go around and talk to my friends and family at events and stuff that I know I didn't talk to online, just to kind of gauge the world of streaming and other business, ask about movies and stuff. And I noticed a trend in people I was talking to about streaming services. And some people, of course, would have Netflix, some would have Amazon, some were getting into HBO Max or whatever at that point, some weren't. And Paramount Plus was another new one at that time it was CBS All Access, right? And the one that everybody seemed to bring up without me even bringing it up was Discovery Plus. And the thing that stuck out to me was they all said, "Oh, but we got to have Discovery Plus." I'm like, "What do you mean you got to have it?" Well, like if we don't have it, we miss out on this, and that, and all these shows that were tied in with Discovery, right? So you had to have a Discovery Plus to have all the extras and all the other bonuses. So I'm like, this guy is causing people to say, not only do we want it, they have to have it. And that's the kind of thing you want a business to have, right? So I'm like, it made complete sense to me why you brought this guy in here. But what didn't make sense to me is they should have brought in somebody. What's funny is, to me, he's done nothing but fuck up the streaming side of things. And the studio, he came in and fixed Killar's mistakes so far. But is that the problem? Is that he's had to come in and mop up so much of a mess that every time he goes to try and clean up one side of it, something else happens? It's like, I don't know how he screwed up the Max thing problem. And he's kind of rebuilding Warner Brothers as a brand in a way.
Tom, that is exactly it. I was going to say an analogy a minute ago, like a grenade. What's happened is that the streaming wars and Warner Brothers' response pre and post Zaslav has been like a set of grenades going off in a bunker. Because as soon as they make this move one way, like your analogy about Discovery Plus, something else gets screwed up. And here's the thing. If Warner had been run right and hadn't been driven into the ground pre-COVID, pre-post, during streaming wars, things wouldn't be as screwed up as they are across the board. Cable wouldn't be as fucked up as it is. The streaming wars wouldn't exist. We wouldn't have had all these movies that were greenlit to be on HBO Max that sucked, or Max, or whatever the fuck it's called now. We wouldn't have had all these. They wouldn't have fucked around with things like Snyder with re-releasing that horse shit in theaters, even though I do like it. It was just a stupid economic idea. I mean, the list of it's like they run watching Warner operate. It's like, let's go focus on here. And then they go focus and things are good for a minute. No, let's go focus on over here. I mean, it's with everything, even CNN. I mean, it's like this is a company that cannot get it done all at it cannot chew gum and walk at the same fucking time ever, no matter who's on top of it. And I think Zaslav coming in, hey, as much as we love this guy, come on. I mean, there's only so many things you can do. It's like having a baseball team. It's like, you're the batting coach, you're the pitching coach, you're the infield coach, and you've got to go and do the laundry at night to make sure the guys have uniforms in the morning. This company has been thermonuclearly mismanaged and clusterfucked from all the crap, and all of its DEI management didn't help either back,
Well, and I wonder if they're come to a point, because here's what they're doing. Just again, to reiterate for those who may not have caught exactly what's going on here. Warner Brothers and HBO Max will be one company under its own umbrella. Then all the cable channels will go under their completely separate, but all the debt load will go under the Warner Brothers Max side of things. So I'm sitting here thinking, why is that? Okay, we know why they're doing that, because the cable side of things is actually bringing in revenue, right? Because they got commercials, so they're constantly going to be a monster that's going to pump out some cash for you. So that's going to be a profitable side of things, no matter what. But that also goes to your point in that this whole streaming thing was a big disaster and a failure. So is that what they're doing? Is they're using Warner Brothers Pictures to clean up that mess now? Because I don't understand what else, because otherwise you're going to destroy Warner Brothers Pictures in the process, unless they're just doing this so they can sell off Warner Brothers.
I don't know, but I know that most of the debt they have is from failed projects at Warner Brothers Pictures and some of their TV movie projects. I know that because they didn't make enough money. Not everything was a hit like Dune,
Well, no. Well, they have had other hits, though. They've had Wonka. They've had Barbie. And that's the thing is what I loved seeing where everybody was like spazzing out about Zaslav for the last year. It's like, oh yeah, they're really going to fire the guy who has the biggest hit of the year in Barbie, right? No way. And then this year alone, he's had Wonka, he's had Godzilla X Kong, and the other one you just mentioned, Dune, which has its spin-off series debuting on not Max as originally planned. So that's the other part of this. So this makes it even more confusing for me. So they're splitting these two companies up, right? So where does that put HBO then? So HBO, I would believe, would be, you know, its own company, right? Or they're under the TV side of things. So that's where these shows now are going to premiere. We've been hearing this nonstop, all those HBO Max shows, but from the Batman series, the Penguin one, and the Harry Potter one, and now this new series that Andre wanted us to discuss here, the Dune series.
Oh yeah,
is now going to be an HBO original and not a Max original like it was initially set to be, right, Andre? That's my understanding.
This is how I understand it too. Which is not a ringing endorsement of streaming. Let's put it that way. That's a clear sign that Netflix came out on top in the streaming wars. And while Max is a contender, there can only be one true winner there. That certainly is my reading of it. But let's gradually move into that, because the universe of Denis Villeneuve's Dune has a TV expansion in the sisterhood of Dune. And the trailer for that, or the most recent trailer for that, was released yesterday, 2 days ago. Yesterday, I think. Yeah.
Yesterday, yeah. And basically, it's just... That's all I got out of the trailer. It's just a bunch of loud noises.
And women, lots of women.
That's pretty much the whole trailer. It's just... Yeah.
More lesbian space witches.
Yeah, we got a picture up here. Yeah, more lesbian space witches. Just what we asked for.
I think this series came out at the wrong time, but maybe I'm being overtly cynical. Since we just had a series devoted entirely to lesbian space witches. But Arch, we haven't heard from you in a while. But let's move, staying in the realm of Warner, now shifting to Dune. Did you see the trailer for Dune Sisterhood, and what did you think about it?
I did, and see, I don't know that much about the business side of things. I've just been shutting up, knowing my lane, etc.
Well, we tried to rush through it, but thank you for being patient. Yes.
No problems at all. I entirely agree that this was timed wrong. If this was 15 years ago, I would hear about a story that would focus on the Bene Gesserits and their rise to power, and I'd think, okay, that could be pretty cool. Today, however, there is no way that this, in the current year's political climate, this isn't going to be exactly what everybody thinks it's going to be when they hear it. Oh, we're going to focus in on the Bene Gesserit sisterhood. Okay, so it's going to be a female empowerment movie, and they're going to have done nothing wrong and probably been corrupted by the men along the way or something.
Yeah, I mean, this just looked unappealing to me.
Or alternatively, it'll be the story where there's one wise chick who's like, I know all the problems with this, and everybody just looks at her and shakes their head like, silly woman, we don't listen to your kind around here. And then turns out she was right.
Yeah, I
silly
understand.
Chicks, Spoon is for dicks.
Yeah. Mike, have you seen the trailer?
Yeah, it fucking sucks, and I'm fucking tired of women stories. Dude, I was never a sexist, and I swear to Andre, I swear to God, I have been turned into a sexist ass motherfucker since 2016 Ghostbusters. It happened slowly. I don't know how. First of all, I was raised by a single mom, and I was raised by.
I've been called a sexist a lot lately too.
My aunts. I was raised with my aunts, my sister, my cousins. They're all female. I was raised in a totally freaking feminine environment for all of my life, and I am now, from what Hollywood has done to me. I don't want to see any fucking female Jedi. I don't want to see any Bene Gesserit doobie does. I don't want to know their story. I don't want to know how their baby daddy left for like some intergalactic freaking, spice dust and never came back with the cigarettes. I am sick of it all. I've turned into a sci-fi sexist, Andre. It's Hollywood's fault, and I need.
They have basically so basically you are now what they accused you of being in 2016 with the female Ghostbusters, and they made you that way.
Yeah. Like, I love Katie Sackhoff. I love Battlestar Galactica. So help me fucking God, if I hear there's another Bo-Katan story that's coming out on Disney Plus, I'm going to hit the fucking wall.
Now you just ruined your mic again.
But that is the common reaction. Like, nobody wants to hear their story anymore, even though theoretically
unplug it.
A Bene Gesserit story could be interesting, because the Bene Gesserit are interesting. They are a cool faction.
Is it working?
Yes. Okay. But sorry, carry on.
But there's no way they could do it in 2024. Like, if you're not a sexist by 2024, you haven't been paying attention.
Well, and honestly, I probably would be more excited for this had Dune 2 not nerfed it so fucking bad.
Because what was her name again?
Zendaya.
Yes.
Chani.
Holy shit.
They screwed that up so bad. They made it so like incessantly bad that I'm like, I could care less. Otherwise, I would be interested in this. Sorry, go ahead, Archie.
It was a good
movie, except for her.
The ending of that movie, and I'm not talking about the character, I'm not talking about the actress, but just the way that the character was written. The end of that movie, it killed my interest in Denis Villeneuve's Dune. I really enjoyed the first movie, but I have no need to ever see it again because it leads into Dune Part 2, which is fantastic right up until the ending with how they have rewritten Chani's character. And now I don't care about Part 3 and what happens then, because then I know we are going into uncharted territory, because they just threw the entire Dune Messiah story into the trash.
That's what I'm saying. Now. It's more than just Chani. He screwed up the whole last half of the book because, like you just said, either he has to go back and reconfigure things. He did, because he didn't do the time jump. We didn't have his sister born. Shani's role, that is what they're doing with her, had nothing to do with her in the first place, right? Like, and I get it. They're trying to build her character up because, true, in Dune Messiah, she don't have a lot to do. I get it. So they're trying to make her more important. But now, basically, we're not getting Dune Messiah. We're getting Denis Villeneuve's Dune 3.
Yes, that's what we're getting. And I'm significantly less interested in that. And now we are getting this more lesbian space witches, only now in Denis Villeneuve's Dune universe, which I was interested in before, but after Dune Part 2, I couldn't care less. And I still say that they should have done the Machine Crusade as an HBO Max spin-off series. That is where they really needed to go. The war against the machines. I mean, who the hell cares about the Sisterhood of Dune series?
Yeah, we got enough of their shit in Part 2.
As a later spin-off series.
That was my point too, is we got more than enough of their shit in Dune 1 and 2. Right? They took time away from the Mentats. They took time away from the Spice, the alien dudes.
The Guild. The Space Navigators, the Guild.
The Navigators, yeah. They took all that story away from them to give it to the fucking Sisterhood. We've already gotten plenty of Sisterhood story. I agree with you, Andre. At this point, and that's the other thing is I think why they're screwing up Part 3 is because I don't think they're going to allow Aaliyah to be a bad guy.
No, definitely not. She's a woman.
See, and that's the other reason why I think they're setting it up this way. Because for those who don't know, not to get too spoilery, because it doesn't fucking matter now, because they're probably not going to go that direction. Yes, Chani kind of gets pushed to the side, but that's because she becomes a mother, right? And her role changes, and Aaliyah is pushed to the front. But she is this tyrant, basically, because she's trying to follow Paul's teachings. And this is where Paul finally understands, God, I fucked up. And that's the whole point of the story, kind of, but while he's also turning into some fucking worm himself. But anyway, at this point, I can't understand how they're going to bring that story to life with the way they ended Dune Part 2. And it has yes, a big part to do with Shawnee, but a lot to do with the fact that they didn't do the time jump. They didn't set things up properly. So what the fuck is Denny going to do now? He's going to clearly have to tell us his own version of it, or he's going to have to go back to Dune 2 and rework that into part 3 somehow.
They're probably going to focus on Chani, because the thing is, today you cannot have a female ancillary character to a male, and that is what she was. Because you're
They're
right,
going to turn her into a strong
side, right?
single mother. Exactly, you're right.
Yes, and the thing is, it's entirely fine to have supporting characters. There's nothing wrong with having supporting characters. But we can't have that anymore. Now every woman needs her own story. Like, no, they don't. Sometimes you just make the story worse. I've been hating this with Harley Quinn for years, how they try spinning her off from the Joker when she's defined by the Joker. And even when they try to write her alone, they define her by going, well, I am leaving the Joker. She is the definition of a sidekick character, and that is fine.
Yeah. And just to end on this, Mike, you are not the only one. I have heard so many people in my personal life echo those same sentiments, that they're so fed up of women on screen. I mean, I heard a friend of mine saying this, like, I don't remember which movie it was, but it went to the cinema. He was like, another woman. Like, I'm fed up with women now. Is that wrong of me? But we've been force-fed so many girl bosses that people are just so fed up.
I was going to say, let's be clear. It's not that we're sick of seeing women. We're sick of seeing women in these specific roles.
Girl bosses.
Point of person of color privilege, or what do they call that? Point of order.
The point of personal privilege.
Point of personal minority privilege. When you and Tom recruited me to Midnight's Edge, I think I was really a nice guy and I was normal. I'm sorry I became a racist, sexist piece of crap on your channel, but here we are.
You were kind of a doughy soy boy.
Yeah, the only thing you're missing right now is the red MAGA hat. That's the only thing that's...
Don't make me go downstairs and get it. You know I got one.
I know, yeah.
I'm not.
We're going to get to that later. If anything, go get your work done now so you can come back and talk about some Trumpomania.
Okay. All right. You guys talk about what we guys gonna talk about next.
Well, next, going off of Warner Brothers, because there's still more. Here's another thing: is they're one of the few who have a slate coming up that people actually want to see stuff of. Regardless of how we felt about Dune 2, it was one of the biggest hits of this year.
Yeah.
A lot of people loved it. And here's another movie that the internet willed into existence, and another trailer dropped yesterday, and it's getting some mostly warm buzz. So let's see what you guys thought about it.
All right, I'm going to cut out of Beetlejuice 2 because I never saw Beetlejuice 1. I'll see if I can come back for the political
stuff. All right, love you, brother. See you in a bit. So Arch, did you get a chance to check out the Beetlejuice trailer? Are you a fan of the original film? What'd you think?
I just got to watch it before we started today. I don't know much about Beetlejuice. This is one of those points where Norway didn't seem to get this, at least not my neck of the wood. But I know the general gist of it, and the trailer looked really good. It looked like the kind of old school, like I was getting Ghostbuster vibes off it, where they were clearly having a bit of fun with the trailer. I particularly liked the part where they had like the little miniatures, the toy miniatures of buses and stuff that he was playing around with. That just felt charming to me. And it's Jenny Ortega again, and she did very well in Wednesday, which is a show I expected to hate and then actually ended up liking. So I like it.
Andre, I mean, I guess Norway wasn't big on Beetlejuice. What did you think?
Norway was never big on Beetlejuice, but Beetlejuice was available. Like, the movie it wasn't very much on TV. Like, I remember it was like on TV3, like once or twice or something like that. The animated series was on TV Norge in like 1990 or something. I actually remember Beetlejuice more from the animated series than the movie that I've seen a couple of times, but it didn't really make any impression on me. But I have to rewatch it now because I loved the hell out of this trailer. I think this trailer looks fantastic, and it makes me want to go back and watch older things, Beetlejuice, knowing full well I was never really into the movie or something, but now I really want to rewatch it because it was a great trailer.
Yeah,
well, yeah, I mean, this is definitely a better trailer than the first one. I have some reservations, and you're talking about, of course, the Beetlejuice animated series.
Yes.
which I think that this show is taking a little bit of inspiration.
I think so too, because some of the stuff in this trailer I recognized as references to the animated series. And as I said, to me, when I hear Beetlejuice, my first association isn't Michael Keaton, it's the animated series.
Which might be a mistake, because here's the thing: there's a big difference between the movie and the series. And in the series, Beetlejuice is kind of a hero. Make no mistake about it. In the movie, he is the villain, right? Like, that's the thing. And in this movie, it appears they're going to try to turn him more into a hero, working with Lydia like he did in the show, while his wife, there down at the bottom there, is actually going to be more the villain. Now, depending on how they play it out, it could work. But the problem with that is, like I said, that's a trend with modernizing films where they'll take a villain and turn them into some sort of hero. And Beetlejuice has never been a good guy. His whole motivation was to get to Earth out from the nether regions. And the only way he could do that was by marrying a mortal. So he tricked Lydia into marrying him. Like, that was the whole point, right? Like, he didn't want to help anybody. That's his motivation. He's a bad guy. But in the series, they kind of changed his character a bit. He's just more of a goofy ghost, right? Which the series is fine. I loved the series growing up. But I also knew that it was much different than the movie. So is this going to be a sequel to the movie, or is this going to be a sequel to the series, or is this a combination of the two? Because I agree with you guys. It looks great. This trailer's much better than the other trailer we got. I actually laughed a lot in this trailer. I got more of the Beetlejuice vibe out of this trailer, but like you, Andre, I got more of the animated series vibe than I did the movie vibe. But hopefully I'm just worried about nothing. And hopefully the movie is enjoyable and people have fun with it. That's what I hope.
Yeah, I hope so too. Because regardless of anything else, I really enjoyed the trailer.
Yeah. So we'll have to see how this rolls. I think a lot of people are going to go see it. I think people are interested in it. It's a movie that the internet willed into existence.
Indeed. And we have another major trailer that just dropped a little while ago to discuss before we get into other topics here.
Yeah.
One is no longer from Warner, but from Disney. In fact, it's the movie that is going to determine the future viability of the entire Marvel division, at least for the time being, namely Deadpool versus Wolverine.
So Arch.
Yeah, you saw the trailer. What do you think about it?
I quite liked it. It was heading in a surprisingly serious direction. It felt like it was being almost a bit of a tribute to Wolverine, which I actually really like, because I really enjoyed Logan. I enjoy this character. I enjoy his actor. And I love the fact that they're bringing back the old costume. Like, maybe I'm being very biased here too, because I just adore Wolverine. He was one of the first comic books I got my hand off on in Norway, so I have a bit of a special relationship with the character. But I liked it.
Yeah, cool. I like this trailer as well. But of course, I was sold onto the movie already. I have some minor reservations, but this is not the movie that I'm nervous about when it comes to Marvel. I'm much more nervous about everything else that comes after. I hope that this movie is going to be such a big hit that the powers that be at Marvel realize, okay, we need to scrap and just memory hole a shit ton of the stuff that we got coming and just focus on this instead and do more like this and bring in more of this team to help us fix this ship. I don't think that's going to happen, but that's kind of like my remote hope. This is a movie I'm not worried about, and I just look forward to seeing it.
Well, then you guys better hope it makes like $2 billion. And you better hope it makes like $2 billion. I mean, they already kind of expected to make $1 billion, I bet. But it's got to go above and beyond for them to make
anything less than $1 billion. They'll see that internally as a flop. $1 billion is the minimum success threshold for this movie. I guarantee you. just like it was for Man of Steel, just like it was for Batman v Superman, which is something that they stupidly announced to the public, or not announced, but let slip to the public. No one has said it in conjunction with this movie, but I guarantee you their internal success projection here is 1 billion at the box office. And it fails to do that, it's going to be considered a disappointment.
Well, and not only that, I mean, Feige's got to learn some lessons. Disney has to learn some lessons. And the lesson that will be learned is he didn't want to make this movie anyway. And as long as this movie is successful and it's good, we have to hope that it's good. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
Because this trailer, I liked it. It's probably one of the best trailers we've gotten so far out of the Deadpool and Wolverine trailers. But I've not been a big fan of this campaign so far. I think they have nerfed it compared to what they did Deadpool 1 and 2's campaigns, which I felt Deadpool 2's campaign was better than the movie itself. In this case, I think they went really lazy with it. They could have had a lot more fun with Ryan and Hugh playing it up a little bit more. They shouldn't be showing us this much of the fucking movie. That's what has me
I don't think
pissed.
they are.
I think they're showing us a lot more than you realize. There's a lot of spoilers in this trailer from what I heard. Well, first of all, we've seen one of the characters that we had figured might be in it, but we didn't know for sure. And the way that it's, I kind of have an idea of who the bad guy is and what they're doing, what they're up to, besides Professor X's twin sister. And I don't think this is going to affect the MCU overall so much as it is going to bring an end to the Fox-Men universe. And I agree with Arch. This is turning out to be more of a love letter to Wolverine than anything, and probably a final pin in Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool, because I think he knows that he's not going to be able to make another one unless this makes a lot of money. And I mean, this leads into another story, but I'm not so sure what's going to get memory hold or forgotten. But like I've been saying for a while, this is an island in a sea of piss, but it has to be an island that really gets a lot of attention to change some things, even though we already know there is some things going on in the background. And I think that's part of it. But regardless, even if it does 1.5 billion, that's a huge success right now for this, because that's that's almost twice as much as what the first film made, is my point, right? So like, if they get to that point, then they can at least see where certain things work and certain things don't. And what you have here is two strong male leads in the superhero genre. And if it does well, it could show up what you brought up Batman v Superman, right?
Yeah.
It could do better than that. And in a world where these two characters...
Oh, it's going to have to, because they only did 800 million.
Right. Well, look at it this way. It does what the 1.5 or better than I said. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't get an announcement of a Deadpool and Wolverine trilogy. But there's other things that need to be addressed here. But let's finish up the Deadpool Wolverine talk first. I'm going into it because we are just under a week away from this thing coming out. And I'm nervous for just how the film is going to be received by people and what it's going to be about at the end of the day. Because if it's a fun romp and it's a nice tribute to Wolverine and it's, a nice button on the Fox-Men universe, cool. But if I get into this thing and it's basically Doctor Strange 2.0, I'm going to be pissed, because I'm not going to sit here and wade through a movie for 2 hours where I did not watch Loki. I did not watch this stupid show. I did not watch that stupid show. And I'm not getting all these references or story elements. Although the directors claim that that's not supposed to be a problem.
Gonna have to wait and see. I see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
It could be interesting. Did either of you watch X-Men 97?
No, but I should, from what I've been hearing.
I did not, because I never saw X-Men the animated series, because that never was in Norway.
Yeah, see, that's actually a very good point, because that was pretty much a direct continuation, to the point where if you haven't watched the original, you're actually going to be fucking lost.
Exactly.
But it was rather good and rather faithful. And now we see Wolverine in his old suit. Like, I feel like Marvel tends to have been one step ahead of DC when it comes to cinematic things. This is me being extraordinarily hopeful here, but maybe they picked up on the changing tide already and is thinking like, okay, what if we actually do try to lean into the old school stuff? Let's try that with Wolverine, see what happens.
Yeah, and I really hope that that is what they are trying to do forwards. The reason why I don't have faith, though, is that they haven't scrapped Captain America 4. They haven't scrapped Thunderbolts. They haven't scrapped Agatha all along. On the contrary, they're doubling down on that by doing a Vision series, which is still a callback to the dreadful WandaVision, and they're even wasting the talents of Telemetalis on it. They haven't scrapped Armor Wars, and they haven't scrapped Wonder Man. Now, all of these projects
And Ironheart, don't forget Ironfart.
and Ironheart. Lest
That's
we
still-
forget
that's
Ironheart.
still live?
All of these are brand
Still
destroyers.
Schrodinger's series. And yeah, I agree with Andre. Well, look, I understand why they can't scrap Thunderbolts or Captain America 4. Captain America 4's train left the station a long fucking time ago. Right? There's no stopping that train now. It's on the tracks. It's a done deal. McDonald's already put out the toys. They've got all the license deals in place. They pre-sold it in other countries, like Script will remind us again and again.
Yeah.
I get why those movies have to come out. They're just going to have to weather those storms. But what they could do is, like we just pointed out, Memory Hole, Iron Fart, any of the other stupid series that they got on Disney Plus coming up here, besides maybe Daredevil, which they're reshooting for what, the third time now? So
Are they reshooting Daredevil again?
Oh, they were reshooting it last I knew, because remember they scrapped the whole friggin' thing.
Yeah, I know, but since then they haven't redone it since then, have they?
I don't know if I'm on this. They have done
I don't
that.
think they've redone it since then.
Maybe not, but regardless, my point is that they had to reconfigure it. And what are they doing to reconfigure it? From what we've heard, basically making it Deadpool season, the
4.
next season 4. Yeah.
Deadpool season 4. Sorry,
instead of
Daredevil season 4.
Yeah, did I say Deadpool? I meant sorry, Daredevil.
Yes. They both
but
begin
anyway,
with the D, and they have similar.
Yeah, I know, and then you stopped my train of thought, so I was like trying to get back onto it, but it's all good. So at this point, I agree with you. They need to get rid of all this other shit. And one thing Feige has said, and this is something that I've noticed, and I brought this up yesterday on Mr. H's stream, and I think it's true, is that they know there's a problem and they got to fix it. If anybody in Disney is actually admitting to some sort of failure or defeat or licking their wounds right now, it seems to be Kevin Feige. And you said you don't trust him. I don't trust him anymore either, Andre. But I do know that he's not stupid, right? So he's probably at least the smartest person in the room there right now, especially now that James Gunn and whoever else is gone. Because make no mistake about it, that's where things went wrong. They didn't have a plan before Infinity War. James Gunn sat down, mapped out the entire Infinity Saga, and that is the only time in this entire thing where we had a plan in the Marvel Universe. And when did it go to hell? The moment they fired James Gunn. He came back, put his little button on Guardians of the Galaxy, and as we all said, that's probably the last little bit of actual good shit we're going to get out of this besides Deadpool and Wolverine. And we're probably right. But what Feige did, though, was he signified, I underestimated Chapek, but he's made kind of, I don't remember the exact way he said it, but he's basically made hints that they need to get more experienced directors and stuff involved in the Marvel Universe again, which leads us to our next story. So do we think that this is a sign that things are changing over at Marvel? Because now, all of a sudden, this came out, and it is a shocker, and we'll get into why. The Russo brothers are in talks to direct the next 2 Avenger movies. So, Andre, do you think that this is where they're trying to set things back into the right set of tracks here? I mean, you kind of know where I'm going with this, but
I would hope so, but I think there's a few things that goes into this because leading up to this story, you had online rumors that the Russos were interested in working with Marvel again, and I believe
what was Marvel interested in them?
were put out there by the Russo brothers to pressure Kevin Feige to say yes, because when it's out there, there is no way that he can not pick them up on that, whether he wants to or not. Not with the problems that the MCU has had for the past half a decade, and then the directors of basically their best and most successful movies: Captain America: The Winter Soldier, Captain America: Civil War, Avengers: Infinity War, Avengers: Endgame. Those guys want to come back. Ain't no way that Kevin Feige can say no to that publicly. So basically, they forced his hand. Maybe he doesn't want it privately, but he has no choice publicly but to make that happen. But as I also said, and the credit to Script Doctor, because he was also one that pointed this out on X, that if they don't come back with the writers of those movies, it doesn't help. Because what these guys have been doing on their own since working with Marvel is a bunch of forgettable shit too. So, because they're only half the equation. Marvel's real problem is their lack of writers that know what the hell they're doing. So they need to bring back the writers that worked on those things as well. And without that, they got nothing. Yeah, here's to hoping that they will come back with the writers. Then they actually might be able to do something with this.
Yeah, I mean, the writers are a big part of this, but I think why I said this was shocking from the start, we kind of leaped over that. If you guys remember, the Russos kind of badmouthed Marvel after they left. They said a lot of shit that probably normally wouldn't bode well with most people, but I think they're desperate right now. And this kind of goes off of what I was saying, and I don't know if you agree with this or not, Arch and Andre, but like, I think they're really desperate right now to get some veteran directors in here, people they trust, to try and right this ship, because they know they're heading straight for, well, they know they hit an iceberg already, and they're headed straight for another one. And also another person who may have something to say about this, Mr. Yellow Flash.
Hello, is this official?
Well, they're in
not
talks.
Official yet. It's rumored. It's like more of it's official that they're in talks, but it's not official that it's happening. That is something that they would wait with announcing for Comic-Con.
It's desperate.
It is to a point, I think, but also it's a sign, I think, that they're trying to right the ship. So I'm not going to knock them on
Wasn't
that.
Marvel like kind of going away from them?
Well, they were going
I
away
feel
from
like
each
Marvel
other.
didn't want to rehire them when it was.
Well, they
after
talked
Endgame.
shit about Marvel. That's why they bashed
okay.
how the things are being run. Because I know somebody said something about in the chat, like Gunn gets too much credit or whatever. Well, actually, no. You got to remember, he came in and they didn't have a plan, and that's what he said. So when he started working on Guardians of the Galaxy, he needed to know where the Infinity Saga was going to go so he could do his trilogy. So he sat down and mapped out the entire Infinity Saga, and he worked directly with the Russo brothers on Infinity War and the beginning of Endgame. I don't know how much he finished with Endgame, because he just came back, because in between those two movies is when he got fired. And he came back, worked with him on we know for a fact on the Guardians part, but after that, we don't know. So I have no idea what happened post then, and that's where maybe the movie went off the rails. So I'm not going to say it's one way or the other, but from that point on, we can see the proof in the pudding that Marvel has gone to hell. Now, we have no idea how well Gunn's going to do over at DC. That has yet to be seen. But we've seen his track record over at Marvel, and that was the biggest mistake they ever made, was firing him, because Feige initially had set him up to take over the cosmic side of the Marvel universe, while Feige would handle the Earth side of things. That was the original
I think he's
plan.
going to do a good job at DC.
I hope so too. Considering the way things went,
I'm optimistic about that Superman movie. I sit here and bitch about the fucking costume all day. I think he'll do a good job with that movie. There's going to be like 2 or 3 costumes in that movie, from what I heard.
But yeah, I think script is right. I think the writers are more important here too, because a lot of these films and shows have been written by the same 2 or 3 guys, and it's the same people who worked on the Marvels and everything else.
Well, the Superman movie will be very interesting, because if the idea is correct that all of the other heroes whose costumes look terrible are like LexCorp hires or whatever that was going on, then Superman will be the hero that kind of teaches them the correct way. That sounds like exactly what you should be doing with Superman right now.
Yeah, I agree. It's a good plot to me. He should be inspiring. That's what Superman is. He should inspire
Yeah.
people. So that I
he
think that
should go back
he's
to
got
being
it.
the inspiring Boy Scout, because that is Superman's character. Superman is not supposed to be dark and gritty.
Yeah, that's why I don't like any.
Did you see the
James
Hall
Gunn
of
stuff is
Justice?
gritty.
Did you see the pic of the Hall of Justice?
No.
Oh yeah, I shared it on Twitter. Yeah, there's a Hall of Justice in the movie. Looks just like it did in the movie or in the show.
So does that mean
The
that there's
Super
already
Friends,
going to be
yeah.
an established Justice League?
I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, that's the thing. Gunn has said that it's not going to be an origin story for Superman, so we have no idea how long Superman's been Superman. And I've been hearing rumors left and right about multiple suits and other things too. We've seen an image that could be a different suit, that darker one, that I shared as well in a video with it. So there's a lot going on with this. I'm interested to see. I'm waiting for a trailer so we kind of get an idea, a taste of what this is supposed to be. But on that note, we've got some super chats. Let's see what you guys are saying out there, and then we're going to get on to some video game talking, some Assassin's Creed, and then we're going to get into some politics over on Rumble. We got Ben Dowdy, who's been here for 18 months. It says, Buenos dias. Well, buenos dias. And then we got John Evan Bear, who sends in $2 Canadian. Hey, are you a Canadian bear? Says, Andre, if you're 555, then I'm 666. Oh shit, I should have got this when Paul was here. Paul Chato, I'm in a car. Well, thank you, Hyperguyver, for the $2.
Oh, nice Slipknot reference. I like that.
Yeah.
John Evan Bear.
Yeah, John Thomas sends in 5 and says, what's the over-under on the Wheel of Prime Abomination getting a 4th season? Well, Andre, what do you
That's a
think?
good one. What say you, Watch?
Eventually, in the far-flung future, I am going to use the Wheel of Time as like a scary bedtime story for children. Like, this is what could happen to the thing you love if you don't behave. This absolute monstrosity of just violent abuse. This is what could happen. Because that's what the Wheel of Time is. It is one of the worst adaptations, most disrespectful, most aggressively damaging adaptations ever released. And considering it is the current year, that is goddamn saying something. So I hope it's dead. Oh boy, do I hope it's dead.
Yeah. What about you,
We should
Andre?
be so
Flash?
lucky.
I don't watch that show. I hear it sucks. Do videos on it, nobody watches it, so I don't bother following it.
Yeah.
Well, and here's like the thing: if they had done it right, it could have been another Game of Thrones. But they decided, no, we're gonna go all girl power and girl bossness in this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they even gave Randall Thor's big scene where he destroys an entire army of beastmen to 2 chicks who were side characters and 3 random chicks they'd met that episode. Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, that's
Were they hot?
Nope.
Yeah,
It's the current
yeah.
year,
Why would
Flash.
they be
You know
hot?
the answer to that question.
Yeah. No,
and the next good thing you should ask: were they straight? And the answer to
Well,
that
if they're
is
hot,
probably
they
also
actually have
no.
like sex scenes. I might be okay with it, but
Yeah, well, they're all against the male gaze, so if they had, you wouldn't be able to see anything. So
oh yeah, well I'm not interested then.
Yeah, and then we got John Thomas again, who says hopefully they will release the original and TV show on Blu-ray to hype Highlander release. Well, they've actually been working on a Highlander Blu-ray release.
Yeah, I saw
Well,
a picture of that box set.
A long time have they been working on it. They did release it on Blu-ray, but it was just basically the standard def files in their highest uncompressed form-ish. But what they did is cropped it off, so it looks like garbage either way. But they're supposedly went back and they're remastering it. But this was like 2 years ago they put out a trailer for this, and it still hasn't surfaced. But that could very well be that they're waiting for this to hype it all up. And yeah, the sequels really needs some love, even though they kind of suck on Blu-ray. But I don't know which ones Lionsgate owns and which ones they don't. That's the other problem, is everything is under so many different entities anymore that I don't know who owns what. Because Lionsgate owns the original film and the sequel, but I don't know if they own anything past that. Because Miramax owned 2, 3, and 3, 4, and whatever else, I think, after that. So
It's fantastic when that happens.
yeah, it happens that way. But they may have kept those when they, because see, here's the weird thing. Lionsgate bought Miramax and they sold it to Paramount. I wonder if they pieced a few things off and kept them like the Highlander series or not. I don't know. I do not know. So we'll find out eventually. Because actually, the third one's not hated by a lot of fans. That's the one with Mario Van Peebles in it. And that one's never gotten a proper Blu-ray release in the US. But anyway, moving on. Mark Field says, movie recommendation. If you guys haven't seen it already, I highly recommend Shin Ultraman for those who like Godzilla -1. Positive vibes. Yeah, I've heard good things about Shin Ultraman. I've never been a big Ultraman guy, but maybe I'll have to give that a shot. What about Arch? You or Flash?
I watched like 20 minutes of it. It was all right. I'll go back and finish it eventually.
Woo-hoo. And then we've got, what about you, Andre? What?
Yeah, no, I'm actually familiar with it. It's something where I actually would be able to check out this new version, but I'm not going to go back and see the original because that's the kind of stuff that I just find unwatchable.
Yeah, you kind of need to be a fan. Like,
yeah,
you kind
those
of
old Godzilla movies
have grown up with it, and if you didn't, it's going to be very difficult to get into as an adult in the year 2024.
Yeah, it's like the old Godzilla movies. Right now, it's tough to go back for some people. Like, I grew up with it, so
exactly. Whereas with me, I didn't grow up with them. So, like, to me, like I can watch the Angry Video Games nerd like Godzilla-thon and like get a review of the movies. I can do that, but like actually watch them, I can't do it.
No, and I get that. Then we got JWT6577, who's been a member for 20 months. Thank you for that. Thank you for the support. Chriskma1 sends in 5. It says, a future Disney administration might rebrand their current Star Wars content as Legendary and reboot with a new episode 7.
Maybe that's what they need to do.
Well, they might do something like that with the content, but I don't know if they'll ever redo episode 7. That's a tall order. And I don't know if they can. So, because there's supposedly
if there's a corporate will, there's a way.
I see what you're saying, but like I think it was Favreau or somebody like that was referring to like some sort of deal of like that Lucas put in place in the sale to where it was like a fail safe to where they couldn't fuck with his original movies. But what it did is also kind of made it to where anything that Disney does do canon now, unfortunately, I guess. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure that the don't fuck with the Lucas stuff is much more ironclad than Disney's own stuff.
Absolutely, I agree with you.
If they decide that what Lucas did is canon, and we're going to be a little bit more selective of memory holding our own stuff, if there's a corporate will, there's a way. I guarantee you.
Right. Well, I just mean that basically, yeah, like Favreau was saying, is like he couldn't work around it or whatever.
No, of course he couldn't with Kathleen Kennedy still there, because then there's no corporate will. That changes, then all bets are off.
We got Marksman 117B with a $1.99. He says, Arch, how do you see The Boys? Is it a failed show?
I'm gonna watch the last 2 episodes today. I thought, well, not the it would be the 4th episode, I think. That one was pretty good. The rest of the season has been pretty trash so far, so it's definitely gone hill drastically since the 1st and 2nd seasons.
All right. And then we've got Pilgrim Media, who says even High Seas Buccaneers aren't watching it.
Yeah, basically, even pirates don't want it. So that's a true sign of success right there.
Sorry, had a coughing fit there. Jason Webster sends in 5 Australian and says, breaking news, the 3rd Blue Dragon Series Awards, South Korea, moving 3 awards, Daily Dose of Sunshine 2, Best Drama, Best Actress, and Mask Girl 1. And I, unfortunately, am not familiar with any of those. Anybody here?
With what? Say it again.
Blue Dragon Series Awards, Moving 3 Awards, Daily Dose of Sunshine 2, and Mask Girl 1.
I don't pay too much attention to awards. I don't care
Mm.
about them.
Well, I can't claim I'm too familiar with either of them, but congratulations, I guess.
Jason likes his South Korean films and stuff. Tommy Reviews sends in $5. It says, "Hell, Midnight's Edge. Trumpomania needs to be Hulk Hogan style tee or tank top." Oh, I'm sure it's on the way. And we're going to actually talk about that on the Rumble side of things, but we've got some other stuff to get
Hulk
into.
Hogan? You can talk about Hulk Hogan here.
Yeah, well, we're going to get into the more political side of things on the Rumble side. So we're just saving it all for that. Copsy DeFeel sends in $2. Says, "Is so excited for yet another show with all women." Yeah, right. He's talking about the Dune series. Jim V sends in $4.99 and says, "Coming this fall to Disney Plus, a Leslie Bean headcase director's cut of Crapolite tea. Now with 200% more scissoring and flesh sabers." Yeah, probably. Tommy Reviews also says that Hulk Hogan also did the greatest promo he ever did since he was the last champion in the WWF before they turned into the WWE. Yeah, it started trending, and we're going to discuss that and a little bit more political news in just a little bit. Magnus Toth says with $10, "Do you think anyone in the business press is looking into why KK is still around? No single person in the history of Hollywood has ever destroyed so much. No one can think this is normal." She's used up all of her goodwill and whatnot. Like, there have been a few semi-hit pieces on her, right, Andre? I mean, she's not completely bulletproof, but
She's bulletproof within the industry, but not outside of the industry. But here's the thing: there is no corporate desire to go after her because she still speaks to the interest of your BlackRocks and your State Streets. She's kind of like running their errand, and they are the ones who own the business press. So there's no interest in the business press in going after her. If they were interested in going after her, they would be interested in going after every single company on this earth that does DEI. And they don't do that. Now, do they? So no, I don't think that there's any business press interest into looking into why KK is still around. If there was, it would only be coming from some renegade here or there, but not from the establishment side of things. It would have to be from the independent side. No one in the establishment is going to go after her unless it is for a specific means. If it
or
is,
it's all over.
Unless it's like Bob Iger that decides, okay, now it's her or me, she's got to go, and he orders basically hits. Other than that, no, like no business press is going to look into that.
Neither is
that they just look into the annual statements and the official comments. Say, oh, look at how much we've made, like so much Star Wars. Oh wow, she's doing fantastic. Most successful producer of all time, and they'll leave it at that.
No, and exactly. And not even anybody within the industry, whether they're a writer or another producer or a director or even an actor, will say anything negative about it. They'll say negative things about Star Wars, right? Like, you're right. That's exactly kind of how they take shots at her, through how they say, well, just Star Wars has been mishandled. They won't say her name, right? Usually, as far as like the main press, they will say that there's problems, there's this, there's that, there's the other. They won't specifically say her, and neither will anybody who works in the industry. Because guess what? You badmouth her, and she will have you blacklisted like Harvey Weinstein used to. That's the thing people are afraid of. She didn't have to have anything on anybody. She still has enough powerful friends that if you piss her off, she can have you basically never get another job in Hollywood again. At least as long as she's got power. See, and that's what most people are afraid of. Make no mistake about it. That's the number one thing I guarantee you why so many people dance around the devil when they talk about this shit, and they will not badmouth Kathleen Kennedy. And there's even people that I've talked to who will come to her defense like quick. And it's like, yeah, because they don't want to get anywhere near her bad, her bad side. So yeah.
Indeed.
But we don't give a shit because we got nothing to lose, right? So
so yeah, but let's move on here.
Yeah, we got to keep moving here. Mihan, but thank you for the $20 or $10. That helps a lot. And Mihan sent in 20 Swedish krona, right? It says, I agree with Mexican Iron Man. I dreamed of a Rule of 2 series. Oh. And then Chaos Sonic 1 says, Mike, at this point, when it comes to females and feminists, made me prefer cartoon women. And I mean the cute ones in animes than the real life women. Well, honestly,
that's unfortunate, but yeah.
I think we should be clear that it's just more or less that specific type of women. Right.
Yeah, it's the girl bosses on screen that some of us here have something against, not actual flesh and blood women on screen.
The only female character Hollywood has been able to write for the last 10 years.
Yes, exactly. They have one version of it.
Are you guys live on Rumble right now?
Yes. Yeah, we're still live on Rumble, but when we switch over there is when we're going to do all the political stuff, yeah.
See, I don't even see you guys on the front page.
On the Rumble front page?
Yeah.
We don't get special treatment. We got 400 people.
Yeah, that's why I don't use them. Because they
know.
only put special people, like they don't, everyone says it's organic, but you have to like ask them to get on the front page.
I was going to say, I don't know about that. But anyway, I'm not going to get into that.
There's like people with like 2 people watching and they're on the front page.
We have been on the front page, but yeah, we had to have somebody ask for us, let's say. Or somebody was on with us at that point had said something, and that's the only reason why. But anyway, I'm not going to get into all that business. We're just going to keep doing what we do, and that's all that matters. Dash Attack sends in a member chat, and he's been here for 27 months. That's a long time. Andre, IDW is doing a TMNT-X Naruto crossover comic. What the hell's a Naruto? It looks like a Western author handling it and not Kishimoto. Should I be worried?
Yes, you should. The reason you should is because you should be worried about everything coming from IDW. Because their editor-in-chief at IDW is... What's her face again? One of the Whisper Network ladies.
Oh, was it the Red Sonja bitch or the other one?
No, not her.
So Kelly Sue DeConnick.
No, not her.
Okay, I don't know which other one is there. I can't remember now. They're all like the same one. They like merge into one monster in my head.
I know. This is the prettiest one of them.
Not Gail. Gail's the one I was talking about. That's
Heather. That's the one. Heather Antos. Heather Antos is the story editor-in-chief over at IDW, and that is why you should be worried, and why everything coming out of IDW is propaganda right now. I mean, even the Transformers comics that they had for like 15 years or something, that started out really fantastic, it turned to shit the moment when she came aboard, because that's like when RC became trans and everything like that. I'm not even joking. So yeah, you should be worried. You should be very worried.
All right. Well, I know we only got Arch for a little bit longer, so what we're going to do is we're going to grab one more super chat here that had to do with one of the things we were talking about, and that is the Chaos Sonic 1 brings up the Russo brothers. It says, with the Russo brothers, I have 2 theories. 1, the Russos don't have any work, or 2, Disney fucked up so bad they have no choice in begging them. Well, it's funny you mention that, because they haven't really had much success outside of the Marvel Universe. And that's where I kind of believe Andre's story about them putting this rumor out there to begin with. But evidently you don't want to expand on that. So what we're going to do now... actually, you know what? To hell with it. We only got 3 more left. Let's do these. Pilgrim Media sends in $2. Says, my great-grandparents came from Levanger, Norway. Did I say that right?
Awesome. Yeah, cool.
Awesome. Thunderstorm sends in $4.99. Says, Falcon could be Black Widow, Magneto, Captain Black Widow, Falcon, Magneto, America. Anthony Did I say that right? Anthony Mackie can fit into Natasha outfit with shield, wings, and helmet. Don't give them ideas, Thunderstorm. Then John Thomas sends in another one. Thank you again. So speaking of awkward shows, what do you think of Studying Craig launching a Game Awards? Also, Darth Kennedy has dirt about a certain island. Does she? I don't know. On the last part. As far as award shows, hey, if anybody's doing them besides the industry, I'm all for it. Well, and I don't have any problems with Craig at all. So, yeah. But yeah, with that, there is some video game news. Speaking of video games, did you guys have anything to say about the awards show thing with Craig? I didn't.
Sounds good. I don't
Yeah,
know.
personally, I'm all for it. It's like anything not controlled by the industry,
Yeah.
any attempt to try and bring it back to people. Like, yeah, sure, give it a go.
Yeah,
That's
go
kind of
for it.
where I'm coming from exactly. Yeah, even if I didn't like him. But yeah, so this is going on. You guys got to talk about this Yusuke thing because I have no frame of reference for this shit. I
Yasuke.
played
Yeah.
like 1 or 2 Assassin's Creed games back in the day, back when they were on PS3. So that's how far back I go. But before we lose Arch, because I know you're limited on time here, let's talk about this business. Andre, set it up.
Yes, Yasuke, of course, is the famous Black Samurai. And the reason that people think that he is the Black Samurai and not the pet of a shogun, which is significantly closer to reality, is this guy right here on screen, because he is the one who has written these books, most notably the one called The True Story of the Legendary African Samurai, and significant artistic liberty has gone into the term true there. This, of course, then has created loads of interest in the character of Yasuke, because he's then this badass black samurai who was a real samurai, even though he was no such thing. Remember, this criticism that came out in conjunction with Shogun, like, where's the diversity? Why are there no black people in feudal Japan? And then this was always the reasoning given. And then and I think that was orchestrated. That's something that was set up because of the Assassin's Creed game that will feature Yasuke. And that's breach of earlier Assassin's Creed tradition, of course. The Japanese are none too pleased with it. And now, for some weird reason, the man behind the modern Yasuke legend, the author Thomas Lockley, has suddenly disappeared off of social media. Now, Arch, let's begin with you. What are your general thoughts on the Yasuke game in Assassin's Creed, which is also going to have an LGBTQIAP plus component? That's the most recent thing, so that's courtesy of the Sweet Baby Inc.-like companies, I should imagine, working on it. And why do you think that Thomas Lockley has suddenly disappeared from social media? Is there a connection here? What say you?
Oh, definitely. Like, this was a big news piece that this entire idea of Yasuke as a samurai, which is a very specific class within feudal Japanese society, was fabricated. And as you say, he was probably a curiosity. He was brought there by Portuguese missionaries. A Japanese Oda Nobunaga saw him. It's like, well, you're really strange looking. Hang around, be like my cupbearer. You'll give me tremendous prestige at court because people would come from near and far to see you. But there is no apparent evidence, true evidence, that he was a samurai. And all of the various, Ubisoft has stepped into this one so bad. They were caught copying Rona Nuazoro's sword for their merchandise. The woman they had as a historical advisor was, her first published book was something like Boys' Love in Feudal Japan or something absurd. It's just been a cavalcade of ridiculous errors, one after the other here, of pseudo-historical nonsense to push the DEI message.
These are the same people critiquing Graham Hancock. And this is what they came up with. Yeah, Yellow Flash. Anything you want to add to that?
I haven't paid too much attention to the game this week. I was going to look into it over the weekend. Been following all the Trump stuff.
Yeah, we'll get into that afterwards here. But yeah, as you mentioned, Arch, like it's basically every mistake that it's possible to make for a game. We have more stories about that. Park Place has been covering this in great detail. How this thing really isn't working out, and it's not being received very well in Japan at all. Now, Tom, I put another story in the private chat here, so you can bring that up on screen as well, because this is the This is the latest thing which is now confirmed, namely same-sex romance in the game.
Oh,
How well do
buddy.
you think that is going to play in Japan, for one thing, and secondarily with the rest of the audience, especially with everything that's been going on in gaming with Cabruto's DEI detected lists and everything? Why do they keep doing this?
They haven't gotten the message yet. The DEI people are still in charge, and they are still trying to tell the company that this will totally work out. And it's also just like, unironically, I think there's a bit of genuine like racial blindness amongst the employees here. Like we saw with this with the Gladiator trailer, where they added in random rap music for God only knows what reason. Yasuke's got his own little rap track. Like, it's just weird.
Yeah, it's...
Honestly, would they even allowed something like that back then in Japan? I don't think so.
I don't know too much about feudal Japan, but I should imagine there weren't many rainbow flags, to put it that way.
No, again, I think he would have been a curiosity. I think he would have been something that would bring prestige to Nobunaga, certainly. But you wouldn't give him an official title. You know, that's for people of substance, you know, the nobility. You don't give that to the curiosity.
Yeah, but I have to say I do appreciate this though, for the exact same reason that I appreciated the Acolyte. I mean, let the mask come off. Go all in. And because I see this game right here in much the way I see the Acolyte. It's like, oh, okay, so we're going all in here. Here you take something that is supposed to be historic and you go as pseudo-history as humanly possible, while also bringing in modern day messaging in every way you can, by having a black samurai that didn't exist slaughter the Japanese, while the Japanese are busy having same-sex romance in the background. And then, as you also mentioned, basically you steal all kind of like logos and background assets from other things. You just make all of the mistakes that you humanly can do. So I kind of like look forward to this being released and tanking completely and utterly Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League style. And that is exactly what this whole industry needs. And that's what gamers have been so good at, making these things flop. And they deserve to flop so richly. They must flop, because that's the only way that this thing is going to get any better. So I would say, instead of playing this game, go back and play some older Assassin's Creed games. Hell, go back and play some retro games. I'll be far better use of your time. Like, for instance, you can play any other samurai themed game would be better than this, much better. So yeah, I appreciate this. I'm glad. Keep doing it. Go even woker. I mean, make him trans. Go all the way. Go all the way. Just send the message here so that the audience and the consumers and the gamers can send that message right back again.
Well, he can be gay now, so put a dick sucking scene in it.
Yusuke?
Yeah, there's gay relationships in it, which, you know, of course, makes a lot of sense considering the game is based on your DNA.
Well,
your
Yu's gay, I'm
ancestors.
gay, we're all gay.
But the game is based on your traveling through your DNA's, your genetic memory.
Yeah, I know.
So, you know.
I was making a bad joke, but no, at this point, I'm not surprised by anything they do in these video games. But Arch, anything more to say on this, since you're one of our historians here?
I'm all aboard with them going all in here. Make it a complete disaster, because it is the only way they will learn.
Yeah, we're on the same page here. This is the Norwegian mentality. Let
Did you
them
see,
fail.
Did you see the report of people? So it was some convention in Japan, some expo, and people were using the Assassin's Creed booth to use the benches to watch the Nintendo Direct that they had playing. They had to tell them to turn around. Stop using our stop using our benches to watch Nintendo. At least turn around and act like you watching this bullshit.
What was what do you mean they were?
So there's like a little booth where you could sit and watch
Oh,
gameplay and stuff, and it was right next to the Nintendo one, which was of course packed. And then there were people sitting on the Assassin's Creed bench watching the Nintendo thing.
Yeah. All I read about this thing is that the Assassin's Creed booth wasn't very visited. That's I did read that.
Well, way to kill the brand.
Yeah. And when you do stuff like this, the brand deserves to die, and the brand managers deserves to be fired. Like there's no two ways around it.
Yeah.
So yeah, go all the way, trans everyone, and then go broke. This is good. This is what the gaming industry needs. Make it easy for everyone to let the games fail, as they must do, because that's the only way these companies will learn. Many people will be fired, which is tough, but you can't make an omelette without breaking some eggs.
Yeah. Hi, Dragon Star sends in 5 on the Assassin's Creed business and says, Shadows, love how they don't check the Japanese wiki. Apparently, the Japanese version has truth. Also, the historian was Sashi Schmet Hori. I'm sure I said that horribly. There you go. And then we got High Dragon Star, who's also been here for 2 months. Zephyr says Crunchyroll removing all comments from their website is quite a thing. It was just a bunch of people commenting on anime. So, yeah, Omnimus. Well, didn't they also... Or no, was it the other? I think it was another company. Didn't they recently get sold though too? That was the other thing I was wondering about. Can't remember now.
Crunchyroll, Sony bought them.
Yeah, but that was that a while ago or recently?
Oh,
or was
happened last year at some point. I
was gonna say it might have something to do with that. Yeah.
No, they took it down because they don't want people making comments anymore for the same reasons, because they're some show people were criticizing some of the stuff done on it. So what do? They cut comments off.
Gotcha.
That's why a lot of the mainstream sites don't have comments anymore. They don't have it. Like if you go to CNN's YouTube Live, they don't have chat on. It's just a way to control criticism.
Chaos Sonic 1 says with 5, didn't Ubisoft get caught of queer baiting on Assassin's Creed Odyssey? Because when it happened, the Wokies were pissed. Arch, Flash, you guys remember anything about this?
Yes, I remember that. People were mad about one of the characters having a heterosexual relationship when they were supposedly gay or something, and it's stupid for the same reason that I don't remember. I didn't play it. I don't like Assassin's Creed games, so I didn't play it, but I remember the controversy. Stupid for the same reason that I pointed out with Shadows. It's based on genetic memory. Gay people can't have kids, so you can't have genetic memory from them. Stupid.
And then we got
but I mean, what am I saying? We're talking about a group of people that obviously doesn't really follow biology anyway, so never mind.
Gary Thomas sends in 10 and says, hello, from what I understand, when it comes to homosexual relationships in feudal Japan, it was basically as long as it happens behind closed doors and it's nobody else's business. Okay, I just wondered if there was any historical precedence for it, because otherwise I was curious how they would react to something like that.
That sounds about right. That's in most societies. Like, just keep it hidden.
Jesus Davila gifted a membership. Thank you for that, Jesus, and whoever received it. I hope you enjoy it. Dash Attack sent in.
What's up, Zeus? I love Jesus.
And then we got Dash Attack, who sends in $4.99 and says, play Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Great gameplay and story about loss and friendship. That was the pirate one, right?
Yeah, that's the only one I'm tempted to play, because I guess it's more like a pirate game than an Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah. So, Arch, how much longer you got with us here?
I am going to head out right now, actually. So
I
thank you
figured you
very
were
much
getting
for,
close. Yeah.
for having me on today.
Yeah. Well,
thanks for
tell everybody
joining
what
us.
you're up to. Yeah.
Oh, just the usual. Doing my pop cultural commentary on the Archcast channel, where I'll hopefully be having a video out next week about why we need Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne more than we need Batman and Superman now.
Oh, interesting. Very interesting. Look forward to seeing that.
I like that.
So yeah, thanks for
All
having
right.
me.
Well,
and,
check out
I hope to see you all again
Archcast,
soon.
and hopefully we'll have you back again real soon. Thank you for being here, brother.
Definitely. Have a good day.
Take care. And then we have a couple more here. We got Packing Protons, who sends in 5 and says, things I've learned this week: never sing the anthem drunk at the home run derby. Even I could have done better. Yeah, that was a bit of a mess. I can't remember the chick's name who did it, but she even checked herself into rehab afterwards. It was like, wow, that was not good. I don't know if you guys saw that. Chris K sends in $10 and says, MCU will never reach previous success consistently. The goodwill and legacy fans are gone. At least we have the memories. On the positive, 70,000 tons of metal lineup is shaping up nicely. Okay, I don't know what that last part has to do. I'm not catching that reference there, I guess. But thank you for that.
Maybe he's talking about like the Metal Cruise or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure. And then we got Richard. Oh, the Metal Cruise. Yeah. Richard, the Dungeon Crawler, has been here for 3 months. Thank you for that. Nicholas Horton sends in a member chat and says, hail everyone. For the purpose of this channel, will Tom be reviewing TMNT Mutant Mayhem show? It will be great seeing you roasting it. Probably not.
Hey, speaking
I don't
of
know
that,
if I can sit through that.
there's a game that's coming out, a Ninja Turtle game that's coming out that looks interesting. It looks like it's got that top-down view. Kind of looks like a Diablo-style game.
Interesting.
I'm interested in that. I wonder, it's like, what is that game called? Hold on.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen that yet. That's news to me. Unless it has something to do with Mutant Mayhem, I might be interested in it. But no, I'm not interested.
I don't know if
in
it's
anything
tied.
Mutant Mayhem
I don't know if it's tied into that. It doesn't have the style of characters from that, so I don't know.
Good.
Splintered Fate. That's the name of it.
Interesting. You have to send me the info on that. Yeah, no. Otherwise, Nick, I would not.
It's only a minute. You want to watch the trailer? It's only a minute long.
Sure, why not?
Here, I'll put it in the private chat.
I'm gonna say I would not count on me doing any reviews of that. I don't really review things in general. I mean, we do once in a while on Mead, but
Yeah, there it is. I put it in the chat. 1 minute.
is it just a Switch game?
No, it's on all the platforms.
Can you hear me? Mother, where are you? What are we waiting for? Let's go. It is a brave and
Oh yeah, this don't look so bad. It's basically a beat 'em up.
Well, this is kind of like, you ever played Diablo? That's what it looks
Yeah.
like to me.
Well, it's just basically your standard beat 'em up, but it's from an upward angle. Yeah. Yeah. I'd probably play this if I had the time. They had one kind of like this for the PS4 too.
I have never doubted your courage nor your perseverance, my sons.
Yeah, I don't want to get
So,
in trouble for
we'll see.
showing too much of it, but yeah.
If reviews are good for it,
More worried
I'll
about the
check-
music.
I'll check it
Yeah.
out. I just
Yeah,
wanted
it
to
looks
see the
alright.
gameplay. That's all.
Yeah, no, it looks all right. And then we got Chaos Sonic 1, who says, for context, in one of the DLCs of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, basically it forced you to get married and get an heir, even if you are in a homosexual relationship, since to explain the bloodline. Oh yeah. Yeah, I think that's pretty much what you had mentioned, right, Flash?
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, it was an interesting night last night. You and I hung out for a little bit over on your channel while the RNC was going on. Before we get into that, though, we actually do have a Rumble rant here. Sorry, I wanted to get to this. I forgot all about it. Kalekioki says, what does the panel think the biggest flop of the year will be? SS kills the Justice League, Assassin's Creed Shadow, or Star Wars Outlaws game? That's a good question.
Suicide Squad.
I think Suicide Squad.
I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah,
The other two games are still going to sell well. It doesn't matter what. we're saying about it.
Unfortunately, there'll be some sales in those because fans are just too loyal. And
Yeah.
The most toxic fan in my book is a fan that's too loyal and that will support the brand to its own detriment. And that's one of the worst kinds of fans that you can have, and there's too many of those.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think that at the end of the day, the other ones still have at least much more of the normie crowd that don't give a shit about the stuff we do.
No, they do give a shit. They just don't know. They're uninformed.
Well, there's that, but there's also people who just don't. Let's be real. They just don't.
Well, yeah, this is true.
But yeah, so last night was an interesting night. The Hulkster came in and blew the roof off of Milwaukee. I tell you what. Did you get to see this at all, Andre? I watched this with Flash over on his stream as we were talking about it earlier.
I did actually. Yes, I did see the Hulkster.
It was great. He killed it.
Yeah, so one of the highlights here, we're going to play about a minute of it. Here we go.
But what happened last week when they took a shot at my hero?
Stupid accidents, jitter.
And they tried to kill the next president of the United States. Enough was enough. And I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother. Let Trumpomania rule again. Let Trumpomania make America great again.
Yeah, it's just gonna keep jitter in there because it's X. And actually, he went out of character afterwards, right? See,
I'm
that was
glad
the other
he
thing.
did that because I was like, okay, we've seen the character enough now.
Yeah, and I think that was a smart move. I think it was a very smart move. So yeah, Andre, I don't know how much of this whole thing you watched. I of course watched it with Flash, so you got kind of our reactions to it last night. But yeah, I'd love to hear your reaction, especially as an outside of from outside the U.S. How was this last night being perceived from your perception?
Well, first and foremost, I've only seen bits and pieces of the RNC. And as for me and Hulk Hogan, I remember Hulk Hogan from my childhood because I've never been like a fan of wrestling. It's not something that I have followed since. But when I was a kid, and this was the same time when we got He-Man and the Transformers and all of those things, we got it through a cosmic imbalance. We got it beamed in over satellite straight from the UK. That's how we got all of those stuff. Before that, I mean, Tom, you've seen the kind of stuff that I had before. We didn't have wrestling.
Yeah, I love your He-Man story, for instance. Yeah.
So all of that stuff, because Norway in the 80s was very different from Norway today. We didn't have any of that, like nothing. I mean, we had our own socialist entertainment for kids, and we had commie entertainment from kids, imported straight from the other side of the Iron Curtain. That's what we had. And in terms of sports, we had football, we had skiing, and we had wrestling. But when I say wrestling, I mean Greek wrestling, not this wrestling. So this kind of stuff, like the WWE kind of wrestling, that was completely foreign, completely alien, but we got it beamed through satellite. And I was glued to the screen. So I remember Hulk Hogan from then, because that was like when he was new, and that was in the prime, and that's kind of like when we got it. And then I don't know exactly what happened, but it was only for like a year or something like that. I don't know if transmission stopped or I stopped watching, but didn't really watch any more wrestling since then. So to me, that's what wrestling is. It's Hulk Hogan, it's Ric Flair, and I forget the name of the others, but it's that set of characters from that specific time. So I'm familiar with that. So it was it was cool to have like that flashback from my childhood there. Of course, I didn't understand a word of what he was saying at the time. I didn't speak English then, but yeah. So it was cool to see. But I was very glad to see him break character and become himself and speak some serious matters afterwards. Because I was like thinking, oh, okay, you're pulling this joke too long now. You're still big, strong, but you're an old man reliving your past and everything, time to end this. And that's when he did. And then it became all the more powerful.
I loved this entire speech that he did, and I gotta say, like, he's still in pretty good shape for 70. I hope I look
Oh,
this
he
good
is,
when I'm 70.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I thought it was
I'd love
fun.
to. I mean, I don't want his history of injuries. I don't want that. You can keep that.
Yeah.
But I'd love to have his muscle mass when I reach his age.
Yeah, no, I mean, I thought he put on a pretty good show. The some of the commentators, or not commentators, but commenters or whatever on X and other places, and I even seen
They're
on
going
Facebook,
after him.
they were trying to go after him, but it was funny because there were so many people that came in and said, "Oh no, the Hulkster ripped it up," and it was awesome.
Well, that's not what I was gonna say. I was gonna say
go ahead.
because Trump apparently like blew a kiss at him. So I find it funny that all these people are trying to imply that being homosexual is bad, because apparently, like, they're trying to frame it as some kind of gay thing. It's really funny to
Oh,
me how
Jesus.
hypocritical they get when they'll do something like that when it's somebody they don't like, but for everybody
the
else,
rules
it's like,
for
well, this is
thee,
such a
not for
great
me.
thing. It's magical, but they're the first people to run out and use it as an insult every fucking time.
Yeah. No, it's hilarious how they do that. They don't even realize they're showing their hypocrisy time and time again.
No, I think that they probably don't realize themselves. Like, either they don't realize how hypocritical they are, or they don't care because they assume that their intended audience they don't see, and then it's all good.
Yeah, and that actually kind of segues nicely into this. I didn't know if you wanted to hang around on the YouTube side as we get into some of this stuff, but like, yeah, like they're even going after Trump's 17-year-old granddaughter.
We may want to go into that green place for this.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we're gonna flip over there for this stuff, I guess. But so head on over there, folks. The mods will give you the link for the green machine. We're not a fan of having to do this, but yeah, we don't want to sacrifice any issues over here. So head on over there, and yeah, if you want to send us something to say, we always prefer the PayPal over the green machines stuff because they take more than their fair share, in our opinion. So with that, we're going to head on over to that side of things while we discuss more political matters. So head on over there, kids, if you want to see us talk about that.